On the news at 7, Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal begins pre-hearing in Abuja as Action Alliance withdraws petition against Tinubu's victory. Supreme Court to deliver verdict in Oyetola Adeleke Osun governorship tussle tomorrow. Nigeria targets crude oil self-sufficiency with Africa's biggest refinery in Lagos. And from the foreign scene, hunger looms in Palestine as World Food Programme suspends aid over limited funds. Good evening and welcome to the news at 7. I am Akinwumi Abodunde. The Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal in Abuja has begun pre-hearing in the petitions challenging the outcome of the February 25 presidential election. The Independent National Electoral Commission had declared Bola Tinubu of the All Progressives Congress winner of that election. Presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, was at the pre-hearing of the tribunal in Abuja today. Also present in court was the governor of Plateau State, Mr. Simon Lalong. Meanwhile, Action Alliance has withdrawn its petition against the president-elect Bola Tinubu. The head of AA's legal team, Obi Maduabuchi, said he filed the petition on behalf of the first and second petitioners. Subsequently, Maduabuchi formally applied to withdraw the petition of the party. Justice Haruna Tsamani then struck out the petition after the respondents, All Progressives Congress, the president-elect, and INEC, said they had no objection. In the meantime, the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal will continue its sitting tomorrow. It also adjourned for the continuation of pre-hearing proceedings till Wednesday for the petition of the Labour Party and Peter Obi, as well as that of the Action People's Party. Tomorrow's proceedings will also have the petitions of Atiku Abubakar and Allied People's Movement in its schedule. Atiku, in his 66-page petition, is praying the tribunal to declare him winner of the polls or order a fresh election. Staying with issues around the incoming administration, Ondo State Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu has again appealed to religious organizations to be steadfast in their prayers for the president-elect Asiwaju Bola Tinubu to succeed as the president of the country in the interest of all. Akeredolu made the call at a Thanksgiving service to mark the 10th anniversary of soul-winning spiritual evangelical church, Akure. The governor noted that many leaders fail because they get overwhelmed by the challenges in government, which are often unexpected. Represented by his deputy, Lucky Ayedatiwa, the governor sought the continuous prayers of Nigerians that the president-elect should be surrounded by people who have the interests of the country and her citizens at heart. Akeredolu assured that Tinubu has a lot of good plans for Nigerians. We now return to the courts. The Supreme Court has fixed tomorrow for judgment in the appeal filed by former Osun Governor Boyega Oyetola against the election of Ademola Adeleke. A 5-member panel of the Supreme Court announced the date after taking arguments from lawyers to the parties today. In his appeal, Oyetola is seeking the reversal of the March 25 judgment of the Court of Appeal in Abuja, which affirmed Adeleke's victory in the last governorship election. The appeal court had in its judgment set aside an earlier judgment by the Osun Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal, which held in favor of Oyetola and removed Ademola Adeleke. The National Industrial Court, sitting in Abuja, has ordered the Oil and Gas Free Zone Authority to recall and reinstate one of its managers, Fumi Omoshule, who was suspended 12 years ago. Justice Olufunke Anoe, who issued the order, also held that the continued suspension of the claimant by the authorities since 2011 was oppressive, unjustifiable, null and void, and of no effect. The judge declared that the stoppage of the claimant's salaries and allowances on the basis of his suspension was unjustifiable. She consequently ordered that the claimant's salaries and allowances be computed from April 2020 up to the time he is reinstated and be paid to him. In its defense, Oil and Gas Free Zone Authority argued that Omoshile was suspended because he failed to bring original certificates before the management for verification. Away from the courts, Ondo State Agency Against Gender-Based Violence, OSRC, has toured the 18 local government areas of the state, sensitizing the public on the content of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law. The visit to Ileolujui in Ileoluji-Okegbo local government area wrapped up the visit, which was led by the wife of the state governor, Chief Betty Anyanwa Keredolu. Government House correspondent of Moriola Humbeji has the report.
As determined by the chairman, Ondo State Agency Against Gender-Based Violence, OSRC, and wife of Ondo State Governor, Betty Anyanwa Keredolu, to ensure that every nook and cranny of the state is informed about VAP law, Ileoluji-Okegbo was the last among the council's areas to visit for the sensitization. Impressed by the large turnout, Mrs. Betty Anyanwa Keredolu testified to the fact that the gesture is yielding positive results. Represented by Senior Special Assistant to Governor on Gender, Research and Documentation, Temitope Daniel, the governor's wife declared that VAP law has come to stay in Ondo State and admonished the citizenry to stay away from all vices that can make them victims of the law.
We have actually made impacts. The people of Ileoluji local government are very happy about this program. They got all the information that we passed to them, and we can attest to this through the questions they asked, and we are satisfied that we have actually delivered. And I believe by the special grace of God, there will be drastic reduction in the number or in the cases of gender-based violence in this local government and in Ondo State at large.
Executive Secretary of the agency, Bolanle Afolabi, expressed satisfaction over the successful program and assured everyone that violation of the law would be strictly dealt with.
People are now well acquainted with the content of the VAP law. They are able to also express their fears in the area of implementation of the law. And we have also tried to explain to them that they need not entertain any fear. With their cooperation and that of the law enforcement agents, particularly, we are able to implement this law to the fullest.
Wife of the chairman, Ileoluji-Okegbo local government, Mrs. Ariola Akinshuroju, represented by the Director, Social Development, Information, Youth, Sport and Culture, Mayo Atikashi, thanked the initiative and promised her readiness to cooperate with the agency alongside the people of the council areas for effective implementation.
We have enough of the banners, sheets, midwifery, and teachers that will spread this thing to the local government. It's a good thing, it's a laudable program that the First Lady has brought to us. We really appreciate it.
Copies of the VAP law were handed over to the participants for effective information dissemination. On Moriola Humbeji, Osrc News.
You're watching the news at 7 on Osrc television. You can also watch us live on our website www.osrc.ng, or follow us on Facebook, OSRC TV, and on YouTube you can subscribe to our channel, OSRC TV Ondo. The news continues shortly. Please stay with us.
Every day, life presents hopes, dreams, and challenges. Challenges that can become successes with a little help. Because a little help can empower you to go from despair to celebration. A little help can keep you going until the race is won. A little help can turn bundles of anxiety into a bundle of joy. And with Glow Data, you get much more than just a little help. You get the biggest data deals in town to make every day glow with small wins and big wins. Dial *777# to select your Glow Data plan.
Thank you for staying with us on the news at 7. We begin this part of the bulletin with human capital development. Ondo State government has restated its commitment to bringing out the best in public servants to effectively manage government resources for developmental growth. Ondo State Head of Service, Kayode Ogundele, stated this while declaring open a 5-day training for selected civil servants organized by the Ondo State government in collaboration with I.Imohwede Foundation at the Public Service Training Institute, Ilaramokin, Ondo State. According to the head of service, participants were carefully selected to effect transformational changes in the state civil service. Obariyola Hungbeji has details.
Effective management and improvement on processes to a large extent accelerate developmental growth in any organization. Hence the decision of Ondo State government to build the capacity of public servants to grow the state. With the theme, Project Management and Process Improvement, the 5-day training, which was dominated by permanent secretaries from various ministries and other senior officers, was geared towards exposing participants to the effective project management and improvement on the process.
I wish you a fruitful learning period.
Declaring the event open, Ondo State Head of Service, Kayode Ogundele lauded the support of the State Governor, Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, towards the development of public servants of Ondo State. Ogundele urged the participants to handle the training seriously and replicate the gesture in their various ministries and MDAs for the benefit of the state.
They will appreciate the importance of project management to the public service delivery and understand how we can use these to fast track the attainment of what we refer to as dividends of democracy for our people. I urge you all to give them, as resource persons, the required knowledge that they need to receive. And I urge them all to also give you required cooperation by paying rapt attention and contributing effectively during discussion session.
Chairman of Permanent Secretaries in Ondo State, Bumi Alade, loaded the theme and the timing.
We must ensure, just like I would expect that at the end of this workshop, we must come out with a communique that will better the loss of our people, that will ensure better governance. Let us ensure that we are here and we listen with rapt attention.
Ike Imokwede's representative, Olaiton Oludare, thanked the state government for providing them with an enabling environment.
The state government places value on learning, on knowledge, and I believe very well that with the knowledge that we have gathered and we're still going to gather in the following days, these officers will be better equipped to implement projects, and also the success rates for projects within the state will skyrocket.
Participants pledged commitment to utilize the skills acquired during the training for the benefit of the states.
If our own people too at the local government service are exposed to this kind of training, they will be able to understand more how to plan their project, how to execute it, how to monitor it. For those of us that have been selected, I understand it's going to be a train-the-trainers concept. We expected to go back and cascade this kind of training to all the officers.
It's a manpower development program, and like you already know, any manpower development is intended to improve performance. So in terms of efficiency and effectiveness in service delivery.
The participants will be engaged within a frame of 5 working days. Omoriola Hungbiji, Osrc News.
Let's move to education. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAM, has released the results of the mop-up Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination held last Saturday. JAM spokesperson Fabian Benjamin confirmed the release of the UTME mop-up results. The examination body recently arranged a mop-up UTME for 80,000 candidates who missed the chance to write the examinations during the period earlier scheduled. Candidates who took part in the supplementary examination are advised to check their results using their registration number via JAM online portal or mobile phone number. Okay, to the economy. Efforts by the federal government to make the country self-sufficient in local refining of crude oil to save the scarce foreign exchange used in the importation of petroleum products have received a major boost as the 650,000 barrels per day Dangote refinery is set for inauguration on May 22 by President Muhammadu Buhari. The Special Assistant to the President on Digital Communications, Bashir Ahmed, disclosed this in a tweet on his handle. The refinery is the biggest in Africa and also the biggest single-train refinery in the world. On completion, the refinery is expected to meet 100% of the Nigerian requirement of all refined products and also have a surplus of each of the products for export. Participants of the Executive Intelligence Management Course 16 of the National Institute of Security Studies have commenced a week-long study tour of Ondo State. The participants, who are members of 35 federal agencies, including the State Security Service, the police, the NSCDC, among others, will make findings and document same on globalization and regional economic integration. OSRC's Zahid Aribisala reports that the team paid a visit to the Deji of Akure, Oba Alade Toyimbo, Alade Lucy, and the Olowo, Oba Ajibade Badegesh.
Participants of the Executive Intelligence Management Course 16 at the National Institute of Security Studies, Buhari, Abuja, arriving in the ancient palace of Olowo in our kingdom. The Course 16 Syndicate 5 is in Ondo State for a week-long study tour, as the team leader Bartholomew Omoaka says getting royal blessings is important for the task.
They are undergoing a 10-month course in the National Institute leading to the award of Fellow Security Institute, FSI, if found worthy in learning and in character.
He adds that the participants, who are officers of the State Security Service, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, the Nigeria Police Force, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, among others, are in the state to make findings and document same. The Olowo Oba Ajibade Ogoye, who noted that security is key to nationhood, recounts the June 5 attack on St. Francis Catholic Church, urging government to preach nationalism and in place policies to curb insecurity.
Your study, you would engage yourselves in finding solutions to the security challenges that's facing us in Nigeria, particularly the issue of terrorism, farmers, herders clash, insurrection here and there, and the lack of nationalism in Nigeria.
Away from the Olowo's palace, the EIMC 16 participants visited the church compound at Owalua Street to take notes. Thereafter, the Ondo State Agric-Business Center in Ishwada hosted members on the study tour. The farm manager, Gideon Adelego, and the center's director of programs, Abiodun Olabomi, conducted the visiting party to the tomatoes cultivation section, the cattle and poultry sections, as well as the hydroponics house. Day one of the study tour climaxed at the Akure Town Hall in the state capital, where the Deji Obalade Tonyibo Alade Lucy received the group.
Is to impact on the participants. They require knowledge to address the dynamic and complex security challenges in their respective domains, respective countries, as well as foster interagency synergy and international cooperation.
Obalade Lucy expressed confidence that their findings and recommendations to government, if utilized, will help strengthen the security architecture in Nigeria.
Given the necessary security operations, telling the assault is coming so that they will be prepared. And if we have the advance hammer, we'll be able to take care of it before we make the strike.
An interactive session between the participants and the chairman of the Ondo State Council of Others on the role of traditional institution in curbing crime and youth restiveness also takes center stage. The Executive Intelligence Management course 16 participants who are drawn from 5 African countries, Gambia, Niger, Chad, Rwanda and Nigeria, are officers from the Deputy Directorate position and above. Sahid Aribisala, Osrc News.
Staying with issues around security, the Police Service Commission has approved salary payments for the 2021-2022 police recruits who passed out of the police colleges and have been in formal police work at different commands and formations in the last 6 months without salary. The Commission's chairman, Solomon Arase, said the decision was reached in the interest of national security, anchored on the need to amicably resolve the lingering issues of recruitment between the Commission and the Nigeria Police. According to him, the Commission's prompt response also followed outcry and appeals from Nigerians that the 2021-2022 police recruits who are yet to be enrolled into the federal government's integrated payroll and personnel information system have not received salaries 6 months after they passed out from the police colleges. Doctors at Ladoke Akintola University of Technology Teaching Hospital, Ogbomoso, Oyo State, have begun an industrial action over poor conditions of service. The strike was called by the hospital's chapter of the Medical and Dental Association of Nigeria and announced by its chairman, Dr. Abe Ayobami Alabi. The association declared that it had critically observed the situation in the hospital with no definite assurance that issues in contention would soon be resolved either partly or wholly. Dr. Alabi added that the association had made efforts in the past to safeguard the hospital from total collapse and to reposition it for better training, research and services for which it was established. The association declared as unacceptable the continued non-payment of salaries of its members who were recently employed and decried the delay and difficulty in payment of the 2016 to 2017 salary arrears by the management. Moving to the foreign scene, the World Food Programme will suspend food aid to over 200,000 Palestinians from next month due to a severe shortage of funds. According to the group's senior official for the Palestinian territories, the figure represents 60% of its caseload. Akintunde Akinshimola has more.
The United Nations World Food Programme says it's suspending food aid for over 200,000 Palestinians starting from next month due to severe funding issues. That represents about 60% of its caseload in the region, and it could get worse. These were Palestinians protesting outside the agency's Gaza city office. Its country chief, Samar Abdul-Jabbar, said It will continue to provide aid for 140,000 of those deemed most at risk in the West Bank and Gaza. But if a funding solution does not come up soon, it will have to cut off all food and money aid to Palestinians by August. Jamalad El-Dabo's family in Gaza is one of those aid recipients. She's saying she's scared her family will starve to death and she doesn't know what to do. She doesn't even have a penny to her name, and she's hoping a local social help group will come through. Her husband is sick and jobless. Gaza, long under blockade by Israel and Egypt on security concerns, is home to 2.3 million people. According to the United Nations and local authorities, about 45% are unemployed and 80% rely on international aid. Akintunde Akinshimola for Osrc News.
Let's move to sports. Sunshine Stars Football Club of Akure has picked the maximum points away from home against Niger Tornadoes at the ABS Stadium, Kaduna, in a match day 17 tie. Efforts by the home team to get an opener was stopped by Sunshine Stars defenders, who worked well to frustrate the attackers of Niger Tornadoes, with goalkeeper Mustafa Lawal keeping them at bay. Sunshine Stars' goal arrived in the 42nd minute, following a perfect team play from the midfield to attack and ending with David Onovo hitting the target. In the 65th minute, the second goal arrived for Sunshine Stars through Yusuf Ibrahim. With the win, Sunshine Stars now have 24 points from 16 matches to occupy the 4th position with a game in hand against Rivers United. And to end the news at 7, another look at the major stories. The Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal has begun pre-hearing even as Action Alliance withdrew its petition against Tinubu's victory. The Supreme Court is to deliver its verdict on the Oyetola Adeleke Osun governorship tussle tomorrow. Nigeria is targeting crude oil self-sufficiency. Nigeria is targeting petrol self-sufficiency, with Africa's biggest refinery to be inaugurated later this month in Lagos by President Muhammadu Buhari. And from the foreign scene, hunger is looming in Palestine following the partial suspension of World Food Programme as a result of limited funds. That's it on the news at 7. Thank you for being a part of it. Good evening.